Today I'm going to explain the American romance and thriller film, Infidelity of Suburbia. Released in the year 2017. Let's get started. The movie begins we see a couple having a hot moment together, while they confess their love for each other. Moments later, the door opens and a little boy whose name is Elliot can be seen. His mother tried telling him to leave, then he showed them a creepy creature that died and this scared the couple. The little boy has grown into a fine young man and he looked at a couple as they argued. Laura requested her husband, Greg, that they should renovate their home kitchen, but Greg wasn't in support. Later, while carrying some stuff, the carton was about to fall into the sea, but Elliot quickly helped her and she thanked him. When Greg got back, the couple argued once more about Hannah, Greg's assistant. Then suddenly, they heard a scream. Their son Jamie had fallen into the sea. They all ran to rescue the young boy, and before anyone did, Elliot had safely rescued him from drowning. Later the family had a barbecue with some friends and Elliot. The men chatted while the females did as well, and Mira, Laura's friend, couldn't stop talking about how hot Elliot looked. The couple also had dinner with Elliot, and he was able to have some conversation with Laura. Once again, Laura brought up the discussion about the new kitchen she wishes to have, and Elliot helped her in making her wish come true by stating that he can help them at a low rate, thereby making Greg agree. The next day, while jogging, Laura told Mira about the new kitchen plan, and the lady spoke up that she was jealous, not because of getting a new kitchen but because she was going to be home alone with Elliot. Her mister is sexy. She also requested if Laura would allow her to come to visit Elliot in her home, and Laura didn't object to her idea. During the day, Elliot was making out the plan for her kitchen while shirtless, and Laura saw him from the window, so she went to meet him. He politely gave her a chair to sit in and discuss the plan, but she was distracted by his shirtless body as she kept taking a look at him. Due to this, she hurriedly left the place to have her bath, but before bathing, she kept checking herself out and later laughed at her behavior. However, while having her bath, the door suddenly opened and she checked if someone had entered the bathroom, but she saw no one. As soon as she continued taking her bath, Elliot came out from his hideout and began to stare at her lustfully. Days later, she went to a shopping mall and he stalked her but made it seem like a surprise. While charting, he kept complimenting her, and when she inquired about what he was holding, he asked her to close her eyes and he fed her, but she presumed him to just be friendly. Back at the house, he once again went shirtless and Mira came to visit him in the kitchen. He tried discarding the young lady, but she kept trying to have a conversation with him. Soon, they are interrupted by Laura, who knows about her friend's intention. At one point, Mira asked her if he had a girlfriend, then he bluntly replied that he had a lady on his mind. During the day, she checked out the ship with Elliot, then on her husband's dock, she saw a lady's underwear in it and this got her upset. She was crying, but she was consoled by Elliot. She remembered that Hannah has a dating site she was on, so she checked and she noticed that it was the same underwear. This confirmed her suspicion and she became bitter about her husband cheating, but Elliot once again consoled her and advised her to close her heart against Greg and stay strong. However, before leaving, they both had eye contact and a lingering emotion. Once again, he acted like a lovely man by covering her with a cloth and gently helping her to get down from the ship. After she had left, Elliot stared at pictures of his parents and he cried. At night, Laura questioned her husband's whereabouts and Greg felt something was amiss, but he later kept to himself. Elliot acted nice to little Jamie and the boy began to get fond of him. Then when he noticed that Laura was taking her bath, he entered the bathroom and locked the door. He began removing his clothes, making Laura speechless, and they both later made love while the water was running. Laura thought she was getting back at her, but when she discussed it with him the next day, she had a change of mind and felt probable she was the cheating one. During the day, she had a ride with Mira, who tried flirting with Elliot once again, but he wasn't yielding. After her friend had left, she told Elliot that she would like to speak to him privately and he agreed. They went into a room, didn't close the door, and she discussed calling off their romance moment, but Elliot wasn't accepting that and once again lured her into making love with him on a table. Hours later, Elliot took the family pictures and cut off Greg's face in the picture, thinking of how to get rid of the man. So early in the morning, he brought her favorite type of flower, stating that it was her birthday, even though she said it was the other day, even though her husband found it weird but just assumed that the guy was acting nice. After her husband left, she made it clear to him that he had been sacked and he was not to come back to their house, though this decision displeased Jamie. As Laura dressed for her birthday, she was glad that she hadn't received a message from Elliot. Then she heard a ring at the door, and when she checked, it was her friend, Mira. They were to have a birthday dinner with other friends, but she was surprised when she saw that her husband had a surprise birthday gathering for her birthday. But her happiness was cut short when she saw Elliot. During the party, Greg introduced Hannah to Elliot and the lady tried having a conversation with him, but he wasn't interested, so he kept staring at Laura. After the party, Hannah runs behind him and asks him to take her along. On the other hand, Laura is in bed with Greg, and she decides to confess what she did with Elliot. Greg, however, stops her and states that she is amazing. He keeps complimenting her and they edge into romance. Elliot, on the other hand, takes Hannah to the boat with him, and Hannah throws herself onto him. But Hannah finds out that he is not interested as she sees that he is not even turned on. She gets annoyed and gets up to leave when she finds Laura's pictures on the wall. He starts calling Elliot things and he strangles her from behind. The next morning, Laura is watering the plants when Greg comes along and says sweet things to her. He tells her that when the trip is over, they will have more time for each other and then they kiss. Elliot is in the house and he watches them with sheer jealousy. Laura then goes to the work shed and finds out that it has been turned into a studio. She finds canvases all around. But on every canvas, Elliot and Laura forever is written. Laura is bewildered by the whole thing and then she hears Jamie scream. She finds him in the yard, and he tells her that Elliot was there. Laura instantly runs outside and meets Elliot. She tells him to leave them alone and refrain from any more surprises. Elliot is obsessed with her, he keeps saying that she and Greg are done. His continued obsession then turns into forceful behavior and he holds her forcefully. Laura begins to scream, and Jamie sees the whole thing. Seeing him out there, Elliot lets go of Laura and leaves the house. That night, Laura goes to Elliot's website and reads the reviews about his work. She finds a disturbing comment from a purple wallflower that Elliot destroyed her life. The next morning, Laura immediately leaves for Denton Island and goes to a shop. She talks to the owner and asks for a purple wallflower. The shopkeeper tells her about a woman named Willie Hamill. The man gives her the address and Laura goes to the woman's house. Upon talking to her, the woman reveals that she lost everything because of Elliot, her marriage, and her family. She tells her that Elliot is downright crazy. She asks Laura to look into what he did to his own mother. In the next scene, we see that Hannah's body is found in the water. Mira and Bill watch the news on TV, and they try to call Greg. As Greg's about to take that call, Elliot springs up behind him and the scene fades out. Laura, on the other hand, wakes up from her sleep and she looks extremely scared and anxious. She picks up a baseball bat and walks downstairs. She constantly hears something breaking in the house. She comes to the kitchen where she finds the same cannoli Elliot once made her taste. Then she finds a window frame that has been totally smashed. In the next scene, we see Greg tied up with a pole in the boat. He manages to free himself and tries to run away but gets hit by Elliot. Laura, on the other hand, talks to Mira and reflects on her suspicion about Greg's disappearance. She then tells Mira that she had an affair with Elliot and now Elliot is totally obsessed with her. Mira then asks her to be careful with this person. Laura then goes to the bakery and talks to the old woman at the counter. There she sees a wall of memory with picture frames. The old woman there reveals Elliot and how he used to come there with his mother since he was a kid. Unfortunately, his mother never had a faithful husband, and this had a great impact on Elliot, leading him to become the man he is now. But things took a worse turn when he burned down the whole house. Laura listens to the story, she gets even more afraid and instantly gets up. As she is about to leave, the old woman tells her that Elliot came in the morning and told her that he is going to marry a widow and become a stepdad. She instantly runs home and to her horror, she finds Elliot waiting for her. Laura asks him about the whereabouts of Greg, but he starts getting physical and starts physically abusing her. He brutalizes her. Jamie comes there but he sends him back. Then he drags Laura to the bedroom. He ties Laura up but she manages to get free. She then confesses her love for Elliot and tells him she has now realized how much she actually loves him. Elliot then completely unties her and both of them go downstairs to have dinner. Jamie is tied downstairs, but Laura still asks him to eat and play along. This is when Mira and Bill get there, and Laura tries to walk toward the window. Elliot finds out just in time and forces both son and mother to go upstairs to the bedroom with him. Elliot picks up Jamie and lets him go outside so that he can have some private time with Laura. Laura tries to get away, but he grabs her on the bed and starts to rape her. Just as he gets on top of Laura, Jamie enters the room. This is when Elliot gets the same flashback from his own childhood. He phases out and Laura, making good use of the opportunity, hits him and escapes. Laura then makes Jamie run for his life and in the meantime, Elliot wakes up. He then terrorizes Laura. He throws her to the floor and hits her with a hammer in the head. In the next scene, we see him carrying a body in a sack to the boat. Laura instantly cuts the sack with a knife and escapes. There she comes face to face with Elliot. She stabs him and runs away. Then she follows a blood trail and finds Greg unconscious. She calls the Coast Guard for help, but it does not connect. Elliot, on the other hand, springs up again and Laura hits him. She tries to run away but Elliot chases after her. He catches her in a room upstairs. Luckily, The room has a window, and she pushes him out of that window. Crashing down, Elliot hits his head and dies. In the final scene, we see Laura's family together and happy. Surprisingly, she opens the fridge and finds that there is delicious cannoli inside. Greg brought it. This is where the movie ends. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new movie recaps.